My name is Sandy Spinagle, and I am your host and your moderator for these sessions. It has been my honor to be here. I couldn't remember if we did 7 or 8 weeks, but this is our final session that we have scheduled at the moment. But stay tuned, always follow Charles County Economic Development Department and the Charles County Chamber of Commerce for their news and updates. And we'll be putting out information in the future. If you have an idea or something for a webinar that you would like to learn more about, something that you would like for us to share, please add it to the survey that we will send you at the conclusion of this webinar. But I do thank you all so much for your time today. We're going to dive in. We've got a heavy, important topic today, as we have during this entire series, where we're going to be talking about good cyber hygiene or cyber health. And we have Bill and Justin with Balance Logic and lots of different IT solutions. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Bill. Bill, would you mind?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bill Campbell, and I am the CEO of Balance Logic.
Awesome. And Justin, what about you?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Justin Weeks. I am the VP of IT Operations for Balance Logic.
Awesome. Okay. So let's start with the first question. What does cyber health mean? Who wants to take this? I'm gonna shoot this maybe over to the Justin, and then you let me know when you want us to show any other slides, Justin.
Sure. So cyber hygiene, we like to look at this where there's 3 actual key layers. One being a foundation of policies that you can put in place to make sure that your company is secure should you be attacked or continuously attacked. Also having a culture of being aware and knowledgeable of different cybersecurity best practices and continuous training. And then we also have technology that, of course, Firewall, Antivirus, Malware, continuous scans. So those basic 3 things add up to what we believe is good cyber hygiene and good cyber posture. Go back to Bill and have him kind of dive in a little bit and see what his take is on that.
Sure. So, we say cyber hygiene, cyber health, cyber security posture, whatever it may be. If you correlate it to personal hygiene or personal health, it's the things that you do to keep your company, your network, your computers, and your data safe. So if you correlate that to your personal health, what are the things that you do to keep your mind and body, healthy? You eat right, you exercise, you meditate, you often go see the doctor, you have things that are monitored on your body if you have some type of issue, right? So you can keep track of it. So the same applies to cyber hygiene or cyber health, whereas you as an organization, or you have experts like ourselves or other organizations that will come in and help you do the right things to keep your network or your organization in a posture or in a good, healthy state.
Oh, I love it. And, something that you both kind of said there, I picked it up first from Justin, is this idea of educating yourself and it being just a part of everything we do. But Bill, I'm loving your analogy with my own personal health and how that relates. There are times when I think, oh my God, I'm not the tech person. I just don't want to know this, but I am running the company. So I can't have the blinders on. I need to be aware and know when I need to tap an expert or know what I can do to educate my team for some, good solid practices. What are some, either basic, or we can go as in depth that doesn't feel overwhelming to people, that people should be doing on a daily basis to maintain this solid online cyber health?
Sure. So let me go back to it and make one other more critical point on that when we were just talking about good hygiene. If you have your body and you don't take care of your body, what's going to happen? Your body's going to deteriorate, and you're going to be susceptible to vulnerabilities, whatever those health vulnerabilities are. Same thing with your network. If you don't do anything with your network, it's going to break down, vulnerabilities are going to happen, and you may get a virus, right? You know, whether it's computer related or human related, both get viruses, and you get a virus because you're vulnerable. So whether it's your health is vulnerable or your network's vulnerable, the same kind of result happens. But to get to your other question, some of the things we can do, I think the biggest thing we can do is be aware. IT security or cybersecurity awareness is huge. You have to be in the know. You have to know what's going on. You have to be educated, right? Knowledge is power. So I think that's the biggest thing is know what's going on in your organization, have a familiarity with security and security procedures, educate your users, educate your employees. And then some of the quick things are, don't go to malicious websites. If you don't trust a website, don't go to it if you're at home or at work. Don't just click on links. For those who know what phishing is or don't, we can talk about that in a little bit, but that's one of the most common vulnerabilities, where if you see an email from PayPal or we've seen this in the past where your boss sends you an email and says, hey, you know I'm in Florida, but I need you to transfer $25,000. Click here to approve it, and somebody clicks on it and logs in. Well, now the attacker now has your login information. So be very diligent and looking at your email. Don't just click over anything that's in your email. Don't visit sites that you're not familiar with, and make sure you have some types of protection. You know, Justin and I were talking before this, and we were saying, what's a good analogy we can say in order to protect yourself? And we say, if you're a catcher in baseball, right? And you wear no gear, most of the time you might catch that ball, but sometimes you may not catch that ball and it's going to hurt. So if you're not wearing your protective equipment, it's going to hurt, whether you're playing baseball or whether you're, in a small business or a large business. You have to have things that are going to protect you. Make sure you have a firewall, make sure you have antivirus, make sure you have email protection. They're the three easiest and most affordable things any small business can do.
Now, how does that change, in working from home? I'm not sure that everybody has the luxury of being able to take home work laptops or their work computers. We've been in this environment. So now we're on like a shared family computer or something. How do some of these things come into play, and what should small businesses be doing to ensure that their team is safe and that their computer network is safe while their employees are working remotely?
Great question. I think it's, and I'll let Justin jump in on this one as well, but it's a great question. It's like one of the number one questions. It's dangerous because when we're at home, we're relaxed, we're comfortable, right? A lot of people have their work laptop at home and they're using it on their own wireless network. The biggest thing that happens is when you get a provider, Comcast, GoVad, Atlantic Broadband, whatever it is that brings in, they give you a modem. Supposedly that modem has a firewall on it. We put all of our trust in that one device. In actuality, the default setting for that firewall that's on there is low. It's set to low, which basically is not doing anything. So most of everybody's home networks are not secure at all. Those who are somewhat savvy and they go to Staples and they buy a Netgear router or whatever, the biggest mistake they do are a wireless router. They set it up by the instructions in there and they leave the default password. So it's really not doing any good either. So I think, being at home, one, if you are using your work laptop at home, stop connecting to your personal Wi-Fi network at home and get a VPN client. If your company does not offer VPN for you to be able to work, then you can go online. There's an application called Pure VPN. You get 3 user licenses for like $50 a year, install it on your laptop. And now whenever you're surfing the internet or whenever you're doing work remotely, you are now creating an encrypted connection, which makes you secure. Does it mean that you're not susceptible to viruses or anything like that? But that's one big step you can do. And then obviously the other one is to make sure you have a good antivirus, not the free versions you can download, but an actual good reputable antivirus. Justin, you got anything you want to add on to that?
Yes, so the biggest thing is, you spoke a lot about the technical tools, a lot of things that we could do, but the biggest thing that we're seeing, I can place the most robust firewall with all the right policies, with, I can throw, $3,000 router or VPN in there or firewall. It doesn't matter if you don't implement that culture within your company. That circumvents pretty much everything else. If you establish the culture within your company, when you're home, you're still going to look for these things that Bill just spoke about. You know, and that is something that as an owner, as a partner of the company, that you would have to, you know, strive to continually do. You know, have threat alerts, have classroom training, continual phishing alerts, and these things, they're not expensive. But if, like your body, like Bill said, like your body, if you're continually exercising, and you have to continually exercise, practicing and exercise that wherewithal of what cybersecurity attacks and different attacks look like, then when one does happen, you're gonna be like, oh, I know what that is. You know, then you're gonna feel really proud about it. You know, I know what that is. I'm not gonna click that. I'm not gonna delete that. You're gonna send an email to all your other coworkers like, hey, if you get an email from such and such, don't click it, delete it, etc. So now you're creating that culture. Get excited about finding these things, and that circumvents so much. Where if you don't have that and people don't feel responsible, then guess what? You know, all the technology in the world is not gonna make a difference. So.
Good point.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Yeah, it's got me thinking about a lot of things. And we did a webinar a few weeks ago on mental health and, you know, caring for that. And truly, you know, these are topics that we're talking about. Sometimes this cyber health, we only talk about it after the problem, after something has gone wrong and we've been the victim of, instead of taking what sounds like some kind of basic proactive steps to do that. How could I assess my situation? You know, what could I do now to figure out how protected I am, how vulnerable I am, you know, whatever. What would you recommend? Bill?
I think you should ask yourself questions. Like in any basic assessment, you ask a variety of questions. Ask yourself, do I have any security hardware? Do I have any security software? Do I have any security training? If you answer no to these three simple questions, you are considerably vulnerable. If you say, yes, I have security software, i.e. antivirus, the next question should be, is it a good antivirus? Is it updated? Or is it something I bought 3 years ago? You know, if I have a firewall, Comcast or whoever, I don't want to pick on Comcast, but your internet provider, if they, you know, say, hey, you're protected, you have a firewall built into your modem. What is the firewall set to? You know, ask simple question. I say simple, but ask, you know, security questions. Do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have this? And the answers to that are no, then you need to take immediate action. And I wanted to bring up one other point, if I may, about the home. Can I make one more point about that?
Yeah.
So a big trend now in network security and cybersecurity world is something called IoT. And a lot of people don't talk about it. When I teach my cybersecurity seminars, I bring it up a lot, and I'm very surprised that maybe 10% of the class knows about it. IoT stands for Internet of Things, and it's all the devices, the smart devices in our house, the Nest thermostat, our smart lights, our smart coffee maker, you know, the leak detectors, all these things that we put in, the Ring out front, your doorbell, the video doorbell, all these things are devices on your network at your home. And guess what? They're not made for security. They're made for convenience. So if you have no firewall at home, you have no antivirus at home, somebody can sit outside in your cul-de-sac and just enjoy your network all they want. And some people say, well, so what? You know, whether they're a business or home. So what? Somebody got on my wireless. Big deal. Well, the big deal is you bank from home, you do XYZ from home, you know, you put your personal information, you may log into LabCorp, your blood results, and that has all your personal information. They give you one example, health records. One single health record, name, phone number, address, diagnosis, whatever it may be, is going for up to $1,000 per record on the black market. So it has nothing to do with who you are, what you do. People are trying to get this for money. If they can break into whatever network, they're selling that information, your credit card numbers, whatever it may be. So those devices are very, very insecure. So it is critical to have a firewall and what we call defense in depth at home, have layers of security just as you would in the office.
Wow. So I wasn't going to the Internet of Things, the IoT, in that direction, because I'm not big into, I don't have all of those devices, but I do have phones and tablets and all sorts of things. So it would all fall into that same bracket. Is it that firewall? Is that it? Is that what I need to keep, my phones and my tablets and my kids' phones and tablets and everything protected?
Well, that's one layer.
Okay.
I'll let Justin talk about defense in depth, but you want a layered approach. Do you want to explain what defense in depth is, Justin?
Yeah, sure. And I'm gonna just backtrack a little bit and just speak to more. So my kids, they play video games, and then we all some have on this call may have ovens that connect to the internet where you can set your oven ahead of time to do certain things like that. There's a bunch of different things in the playoff of what Bill said with the IoT of things. And it's pretty scary to have your child playing Xbox or PS4 or et cetera. And then somebody say, hey, I know you live here. Right. So you have your kids, they're interacting on social media, they're interacting through all these normal things that we thought were just fine growing up. Or my kids, I make sure that they play certain games. They're not playing Call of Duty at this age, but maybe they're playing Legos or something like that. But you can play with other people online, and guess what happens? Hey, I know you're here, right? Because you don't have a VPN, you don't have a firewall. So as a parent, that's really, really scary. So that's another reason why you should definitely have something at your house, because there's also been instances where people can remotely turn on your oven when you're not there, right? So think about that. These things, they have consequences, and just acknowledging that there are, and not saying, hey, I'm not going to be the one for it to happen to me. It definitely can. So just be cognizant of that. So defensive depth, let's see. It's a layered approach to making sure you have the best security posture possible, right? So that means physical, right? So if you have a business, having physical controls, making sure you may have an access control unit, you may have where your modem and server, or your server where all your data is, or computers are, the highly important ones. They're locked in a row. They're not easily accessible to customers or other people coming in. And then technical controls. You get the firewall, antivirus, anti-malware, and just those type of technical controls. And then, excuse me, Bill, what was it? It's
administrative controls.
There it is, administrative.
Policies and procedures.
There it is, policy procedures. Write those up. You hold your employees accountable. You hold yourself accountable. A lot of businesses, they have such high standards for their end users, their employees, but as the owner, as the CEO, as a VP, guess what? You are the actual target, right? You are the person that holds the most weight. If I'm an attacker, I'm going to try to hit you first, right? I'm going to figure it out because I can send out mass emails from you and everybody's going to click on it. So why would I not take that opportunity, right? So adding those together is security in depth, not just relying on one piece of something to say, hey, I'm secure, I'm fine, nothing's going to happen to me, but combining those together puts you in the best situation possible. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, and one of the words that I was questioning earlier, you had said antivirus, firewall, and malware. Those were like kind of the three different layers of protection. Is that right? Did I get that down correctly this time?
A lot of the agents that we have that are out there now, they combine them in
Okay.
a good one will. They'll protect you from multiple things at once. You don't have to go out and buy 5 different anti-spyware, any malware, any virus, and all that together. So a good one will protect you from multiple facets. So.
Okay, great. So let's say, I'm on this, and I'm thinking about, I'm on this webinar and I'm thinking about, we're getting back to reopening, sometime in the near future. And, so we're going to be leaving our homes and coming back into the physical, presence together. Is that an opportunity to look at some of these, perhaps these policies and procedures again? Do we visit it now? Is this something that, we should be talking about on a daily or weekly basis? What are your thoughts on kind of how to broach the subject?
Yeah, so it should be a now type of thing. It should be a yesterday type of thing, because it's continuous. What we do is constant learning. And if you were to have us as a managed IT service provider, guess what? You would rely on us to continue to train ourselves, to be abreast of different situations that are coming out, different attacks that are happening, making sure your posture is the best possible to make sure that, hey, I'm not vulnerable to these type of attacks. But that should also mean you hold yourself accountable to some of these things, right? So if you're at home and you don't have as much business happening, take this time to review your base, your core, your policies and procedures, the way you're operating, the things that are actually on paper, and put them, or you may have some ideas that you told a couple people, but it's not on paper. So if it's not on paper, it doesn't exist, right? You might have sent an email out, but you don't have anything that you formalized, written down, and disseminated upon your team. Maybe possibly have them sign it and say, hey, this is an acceptable user policy. If you're at my company, I want you to hold yourself accountable and understand that you can use our computers, our network, for these types of actions only. I don't want to see you playing games and going to free download sites, etc. This is an acceptable user policy based on what we expect our employees to do. So this is a perfect time to do that.
And I think, and what I'm hearing is that it's, or where my mind went to is it's not just about those of us that are sitting in an office environment. I mean, this applies to a retail structure, or, truly like anybody that has a point of sale system, a POS system that's taking credit cards, or that's, seeing or interacting, or any of us that just wouldn't want our data to be stolen or lost or something like that.
Definitely. I mean, it's we have a range of different clients. So we have clients, go grocery stores. I mean, you could go to car dealerships, government contractors, doctor's offices, regular just 5-man shops, right? And definitely when you get into the government contracting side, the HIPAA side, and stores that you're constantly swiping people's data. And then we can always go back to the Target incident, right? We can always go back to that. And most people don't know that actually wasn't Target that initially got hacked. It was the HVAC company that serviced Target that initially got hacked. So these guys are smart. These hackers they're smart. They're knowledgeable. They understand that, okay, Target's pretty good, right? So why don't I attack a third-party company, right? They have access that I don't, right? And then I can infiltrate that way. So it's not just I'm too big or I'm too small or I'm not in the right business. You are, because if you're servicing somebody, that's what you hold it to yourself to be, to defend yourself, your employees' data, and your what is it? Your people's data. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. So the people you're servicing data. So it's multifaceted. It's not just one thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you're right. It does, it helps to illustrate the impact that every vendor, every business, regardless of size, the impact that we have. Can you talk a little bit more about data and, what we should be doing to protect, save, backup, in any of that realm? Any tips there?
Sure. So backups, when it comes to backups, there's different flavors, right? And of course, with those different flavors, there's different price tags that come with, right? But mostly what you should do is have a backup that happens every night of some sorts. If you have a server or you're hosting company data where you guys share files on a server or a computer, where let's just say you're a five-man shop and you are the owner, and most of the documentation or your HR stuff and your employees' information is on your computer, right? So your computer takes a power hit. Where's all that data? Now you just lost all your employees' social security number, the payroll, your QuickBooks might be on that computer. Pretty much your day-to-day operations relies on that computer. So I would have something that would back that up every night. And what most people do is they think I have an external hard drive that I just lock up in a safe. Okay, you have an external hard drive. All right, great. What happens if something happens to that? All right, what if somebody breaks in and steals that? So you would also need some sort of off-site backup to be able to make sure that you are taken care of fully. So Bill, you got anything for that one?
Only that, it's critical to back up. If you're not backing up your data, it's a car crash waiting to happen. We've had so many clients that, they went the external hard drive route or they backed their stuff up on a USB drive. Guess what? It's technology. It fails. It's hardware. It fails. So you have to protect your company. You have to make sure you have a local backup and a backup off-site. Whether that's, in today's age, it's a cloud backup. Back in the day, we would make a copy of the hard drive, we'd take it home, put it in the safe, so it's not on site. We have clients that we back up every 6 hours. Just backing up once a night is not good enough sometimes. Your data, we do a variety of healthcare practices. Their data changes minute to minute, every 15-minute increments. So we back up all the data every 6 hours for some of our clients. So it really depends. And to add one more point to what you were just talking about before, in reopening your businesses, the big thing is the world got a shock in disaster recovery and business continuity. All these companies that were like, I cannot go to work. What do I do? It's critical that every single business, regardless of size, 1 or 1 million people, you have to have a backup and disaster recovery plan. You have to have a business continuity plan. How do you conduct business if a natural disaster happens, i.e. a pandemic? How do you continue to work? It's very, very, very critical that every business has this. And part of that, it's called a backup and disaster recovery plan, because it's how do you back up? How do you recover from a disaster? And business continuity is how do you continue to do business during a disaster? You can't just stop doing business, right? Because an event happens, and a lot of businesses experience that. They just can't do business. 1, they're not getting revenue, or 2, they just can't operate. So how do you operate during a disaster? And and you can go down another path of talking about pivoting. What do you do if you can't actually physically do products or services, and you just you have to do something else to generate revenue? But that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, backup and disaster recovery is critical, regardless of the size you are, regardless of how many employees, regardless of the data. Any data that you generate, whether you're using a cloud-based system or not, there's still personal and confidential information on your computers in your office, or if you're working from home, at home as well.
Yeah, you're right. And, I think that now more than ever, we're seeing the importance of that continuity planning and all of this planning. So how do we do that? I would love to remind our attendees that are here live to please put some questions in the Q&A box. I would love to answer some specific questions about your particular industry. It isn't too often where we've got, some IT experts here at our disposal to answer these questions that, would normally, cost us a little bit from a consulting fee. So I do appreciate that. And, without making this too sales oriented, but if you could provide us maybe with some tips of questions that we should be asking, when we're evaluating somebody to help us with this. What are some of the things that we should be looking at for external IT support?
Oh, it's good. I would say one, how long has the company been in business?
Mm.
I'll give us a shameless plug. We've been in business 15 and a half years. We've been serving the Southern Maryland area over 15 years. So how long has the company been in business? And I'm not saying just because a business has only been in business a couple of years that they're not reputable or they don't have the experience. But you know that if they've been in business a while, they're going to continue to be in business, right? That you would think that. What are their prices? What is the market price? If whatever the market price is and they're too high or too low, that would lead to some type of experience, right? How do you price yourself? And then the biggest one, biggest thing is customer service. One of the things we differentiate ourselves at Balance Logic is a lot of other companies that do what we do, I don't want to say treat, but they refer to their clients as accounts. Like, their clients are their accounts and you have an account manager. I don't believe in that. I believe in businesses about relationships, and we never refer to our clients as accounts. We're all about customer service. We're in business to provide a service, and without our customers and clients, we would not be in business. And I feel the same way about our employees. If we didn't have employees, we couldn't serve our clients. So the two most important things to me and my company are our clients and our employees. But customer service is one of the biggest things. You don't want a provider nickeling and diming you for every little thing. You want that relationship where, hey, I need a keyboard. My keyboard broke. Okay, well, I'm going to give you a keyboard. And you're not going to invoice them. Or if you're at a client and you say, oh, that keyboard is nasty. I got one in my car. I'm going to swap it out for you. Or whatever it may be. It's about relationships. It's about helping. It's about really providing the right solution. It's not about selling. If you have a provider that's trying to sell you, it's about money. You want somebody that says, okay, here are the challenges that you have as a business. Here are things that we think are the right solution for you, because it's not about one big solution. It's about what is good for you. One company may have tighter security than another company. So if we did a cookie cutter solution for everybody, it doesn't really work that way. Now, some things obviously are cookie cutter in structure, but anything else you think, Justin, that would people would look for?
You kind of just stole my thunder a little bit. No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that you said is it's just about providing the solution. A lot of times clients will do their own research and they say, hey, Jay, what do you think about this? I mean, I think this would really work. It's about $5,000, et cetera. And I'm like, no, you don't need to, don't waste 5,000 on that. Do 1,500 here, right? Do a little bit of training with your employees. I think this might be more of a personnel issue, a training issue, a lack of know-how. And that's not just throw technology at it. Because if you throw technology at things, number one, it gets expensive, right? And it also, a lot of those things have recurring fees. So now you're adding to your monthly expenses. And then you're just going to get upset, right? You're going to get upset and you're just going to continue to throw money at it. You're just going to continue to throw money. And then you're going to get upset with technology. Now you're not going to, when technology is needed, you're not going to reach out there and get it and grab it. And that's what happens a lot of the time that we see. So that's I think the biggest thing, just understanding that even though we're an IT company and we provide a lot of services through IT, guess what? A lot of times it does not require something technical to fix your issue. And to be able to hold yourself accountable as a company, to be able to do that and say that, I think that's something that speaks a lot. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's funny, this morning on our team call, one of my team members, his wife had dumped a soda or something on their personal keyboard. So if you still have that keyboard in the back of your car, and we could borrow it for a little while, that'd be great. But yeah, the trials and tribulations of everyone still being at home is certainly so real. Again, please add your questions in the Q&A box. I want to shift for a second to talk about passwords. Passwords used to be, I don't know, all we ever talked about. And, you know, just change your password and you're fine. Just change your password periodically and you're fine. What are kind of best practices on passwords these days? What's the frequency? What, you know, should we be doing to keep ourselves as secure, assuming we've already got the antivirus and we've got the malware and we've got the firewall? In my head, passwords seem next.
Yeah.
Justin, do you want to, Bill? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So that's actually one of my favorite subjects. In all the
Wow,
yeah.
We need to get you some hobbies, I think, Bill.
Right? Well, I fell in love with ethical hacking, so it's endured my life for the last couple of years. But it's actually very fascinating. Passwords are one of the biggest things. So two things about that. One, good password practice is coming up with two different words and combining in to make something that's not a word, and then add special characters to it. And the reason I say that is a lot of people create very simple passwords. And the problem with that is there's the most common password attack, which is called a dictionary attack. And basically every word that most people use their password is in the dictionary. And it'll take me about 15 seconds to crack your password, because as a computer runs really fast, it runs through a whole dictionary full of words, and yours is going to pop up. So don't use a standard word in the English dictionary as part of your password. And some people will say, oh, well, I can do the @ for the A or an exclamation point for the 1. Well, there's an attack for that called a hybrid attack. Basically, hackers know this, so they will add that in the combination of the algorithm and say, okay, we'll try the word password. Okay, that didn't work. We'll try the A's as ampersands or @ or whatever it may be that you use. So that'll take maybe 45 seconds. So use a complex password, minimum of 8, but I recommend 12, at least 12 characters, 2 different words, 2 different things that go in there that make one string, if you will, and add some special characters in there. Ampersand, exclamation points, numbers, special characters, whatever it may be. So that's the biggest thing you can do with passwords. But the other thing is, regardless of how complex your password is, if you are not educated, and you educated in security, I mean, you know, you don't have a security awareness program, you're not educating users on security, you will just give that password away, right? It doesn't matter how complex your password is. If you get caught in a phishing attack, which is one of the most common vulnerabilities we have, especially with our users, you're going to click on the email, it's going to be a fake login, you're going to put your username and password in. So you could have spent 3 hours creating this awesome password and you just gave it away. So it's not just about creating a complex password, it's about you know, security in depth, right? Or defense in depth. It's about creating multiple layers of things, because like we say, it is very, very hard to defend, right? If you're defending, you have to defend the entire perimeter or your entire company. But it only takes one way for an attacker to attack, right? So it's very, very complex. You just have to have multiple layers. At each layer, you have to defend, right? If you're defending over here to the left, your attacker's over to the right. If you attack or defend over to the right, your attacker's to the left. They only need one path to get through. But we as defenders or as companies, we have to defend everything. So it's easier to attack than it is to defend.
Wow. So with the password piece, should I be changing that every 6 months? Should I be changing it every year? Should I, you know, what's the standard or what's a best practice on stuff like that?
You want to take that, Jay?
Sure. Best practices are normally 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
To change your password. And to add on that, you should also be having, you should start implementing 2-factor authentication, which means you put your password in, you can get a text message from that application. So if you go to Facebook, you sign in, and then Facebook sends you a text, hey, enter in this code, and then you put that code in, and then you're fine. So it adds that extra layer of security. So if your password is, you know, breached, and guess what? You still have an application on your phone, something that can say, hey, stop this, you know. And then a lot of banks are going that way too, where they're stopping malicious, they're stopping malicious um, transactions and sending alerts to our phone. So we have two-factor authentication set up everywhere. That's for your email. That's for your personal things. You can set up two-factor authentication for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think everybody's offering it nowadays. It's something that should just kind of be a standard practice. It takes literally 2 seconds once you put it in. Everybody has their phone on them anyway. I mean, you're probably looking at it in between you putting your password in anyway. So, I mean, it's so hard to put your phone down. So it's very easy to just pick it up and type a code in. So we can do that. I think, another point. I think Bill already said it. I think it's 69% of people have given their password out. 69%. I mean,
which is one of our questions, actually. It's going to be about sharing passwords between employees.
Yes.
So, maybe as you're preparing that, and, if you could touch on that too, that'd be great.
Sure. So 69% of people give their password out. Oh, hey, I need to get into this to check this customer out. Oh, my password is blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Now, guess what? If they want to ring something up and do it underneath your POS sign on, guess what? They can, if you are a manager or CEO or something higher up and you give your password out just to get it done because you need it done very, very fast and you need it quickly and it's like you're not even thinking about it, just give your password out. Or it's just easier to have somebody come in and sign in for you in the morning. Guess what? There is no way to see or track that somebody else has done something malicious underneath your account. You already gave it out. So how can you hold employees accountable to that standard if most of the time, guess what? A lot of the owners do it too. So, and you can, there's policies in place and things you could do to see that and make sure that people are being held accountable for that. And that goes back to just, once again, talking about that culture of establishing that culture in your company to say, hey, good cybersecurity posture, hygiene is the way to go. So,
so what about tools? LastPass is the resource that comes to mind. I don't know if that's something that you use or you recommend, or I think there's OnePass where, you're have the ability to kind of manage who has access to what accounts and things like that. Is that appropriate? I see Bill shaking his head.
Yeah, I was going to let him. He's very passionate. Like I said, he's very passionate about passwords. So let him go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, Bill.
Want me to talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
So let's put this in perspective. I don't know who LastPass. I mean, I know about LastPass.
Oh, okay.
I don't use them. We don't recommend using them or any organization like them. Let me put it in perspective for the reason why. It's a password management tool, password management website. So if it's breached, it has everybody's passwords. If the NSA, the National Security Agency, is able to be breached, I would definitely not trust another organization that has all my critical passwords. Now, again, I don't know their technology. I don't know how they do it. If the most secure organization in the world can be breached, I would say I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. Now, granted, it's not about, let me clarify that. It's not about experience. It's not about level of software or level of hardware or how sophisticated it is. Most breaches are based on human error. And it's basically because somebody didn't do their job, they didn't patch a system, and they left the vulnerability open. So I don't want to discredit, organizations like LastPass or NSA or anything like that. LastPass is a great idea. Me personally, I'm very passionate about security. I'm very passionate about that. And it goes back to my days in the Marine Corps. But I would not trust it and I would not recommend it.
So what's the workaround there? Let's say your organization, you're a small business, you're subscribing to something and, you want to be able to share a file, share something with a fellow team member. What do you do? Is it a unique password that you're using that, is what you're like sharing amongst the teams so that you're still protected on everything except these one or two instances? I don't know.
Yeah. So when I teach the seminar, I get that question all the time. And my recommendation is this: you have 3 passwords. You have a personal password that you use at home, for whatever it may be, your personal Wi-Fi, your login to your computer, whatever it may be. Then you have your financial or your critical password, a password you never let out of your site, and use it for your banking, your important email, whatever it may be. We'll call it the financial password, the risk password, right? And then you have your work password, the password where you use at work. So now you have layers, right? You have your personal, you have your professional, and then you have that critical one. And you use 3 different passwords for that's what I recommend, and make them critical password or complex passwords. That's what I would remember, or I would say. And this way you're not remembering 100 different passwords. You got 3 of the main passwords that you would use.
Awesome. What about saving passwords in Google or, in your browsers?
Absolutely not. Bad. No, 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 no.
Never. Is anybody surprised? I just want a quick show of hands. Is anybody surprised by Bill's comment on that one? Do not, save your passwords in Google. I don't think any of us are surprised by that after this conversation today. Yeah, cool.
We will invoice you a penalty if we go to the office and we find an employee saving passwords. Okay. It is again, it's about complacency. As humans, we're complacent, right? We want the easiest thing to do. We want it now kind of era we are, but it's annoying. We have to do it as well, just like you guys do it. It's annoying, but for that extra few seconds in your life to put your password in, sometimes it could just mean being breached or breaching your company. Not even you, but your company. So absolutely don't ever save passwords. And don't ever write your password on a sticky note and put it under your keyboard. We know it's there. It's not that secret.
Oh, what about on the monitor? Is that different? Are you allowed to put it on the monitor on a big sticky note? Password for this computer is?
No. We won't see it. There's so many other sticky notes that we'll be distracted. We will see.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. Cool. So what I'd like to do, we've got a couple of slides that you provided, maybe, that we're going to, provide in the recap. Would you mind just kind of going over those with us for a few seconds and, kind of explaining them so that people might be able to use them? And I think it repeats or reiterates some of the information that we've been talking about today.
Yeah. So this is our new cybersecurity program, and we are super excited about it. This is actually the launch today. So Thank you. This is something that we've been working on for a while. It's a program called Defendify. For those who know who we are, our IT brand is called IT Assurance. We have data assurance and security assurance and HIT assurance. That's our brand of technology services through Balance Logic. So now we're creating a new program called Defendify. And basically, we have 3 levels to that. One is a free cybersecurity awareness program. It's a free program, so if anybody's interested, let us know. We'll get you signed up. And basically what that does is that actually gives you a health checkup. You answer a bunch of questions and it will give you a score of what your cybersecurity health is. And it also has real-time threat alerts. So it gives you a list of all the threat alerts that are around in the world going on. If your Microsoft Word is vulnerable or your Google password is vulnerable, it gives you all these alerts. And then we're also including 30 minutes of free security consultation in that. So we can talk about anything you want in that 30 minutes of your security posture at your business. Then that second level is our cybersecurity training program, which is for a very small fee per employee per month. You get all the stuff in the free program, but then we also offer you a learning management system for cybersecurity. So you have an instant cybersecurity training program. It creates a bunch of, we have a bunch of videos that get emailed to your users, your employees. They take the training. When they finish the training, they get a certificate. And then we can also simulate phishing attacks. So we can send you simulated emails that simulate phishing attacks. And then it will track that as well and say, okay, you had 80% of your employees click on a phishing attack, we need to do additional training and then provide those training videos. So it's an entire cybersecurity training program. And then the final one is our protection program, where we actually come in, we provide endpoint protection, perimeter protection, firewall, we manage your firewall. So that's our 3 programs. What you're looking at on the screen is the all-in-one cybersecurity program. There's so much to it. We can do internal vulnerability assessments. It has health checkups, incident response plan builders, IT security policy builders, everything you need in a cybersecurity program. We can offer that for a really affordable fee per month. So if you can go back to the very first slide, that would be great.
Oops.
More.
Nope, that one. Mm-hmm.
Yep, this one. So this is a great example. You have Antivirus, then you have firewalls, and then you have our program Defendify. So we were talking about a layered approach. Mm-hmm. Antivirus is going to protect you from an endpoint. A firewall is going to protect you from the perimeter or the coming into your network, and Defendify gives you an all-in-one simple cybersecurity protection program for your business, regardless of what size you are. From a single person entrepreneur working from home, all the way up to 1,000, 2,000 employees, whatever it may be. Did you want to add anything onto that, Jay, Justin?
I mean, you killed it.
Oh.
Awesome. So, okay, let's see. To wrap up, I would love it if you each had one tip. If I leave here today and, what's the first thing I should be doing or checking for? And we'll let Justin go first on this one, since Bill has been stealing his thunder on these last two questions. So,
oh no.
The biggest thing I would say is the easiest thing to do. Just go through all of your platforms that you use and set up two-factor authentication. You can do that through Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, doesn't really matter, whatever your email account is, or your social media, and go ahead and just take care of that. If you do it through your email, you definitely want to do that. The reason why, if I can hack your email, I can also hack pretty much anything, because I can send a reset email. Hey, I forgot my password. Type in your email, reset it. Guess what? Taken care of, right? I can get to your bank account. I can get anything I want to. So that should probably be the first thing that everyone here does, is go and set up two-factor authentication, and do that on your email first, and then every other social media platform. Because most of the time your social media, everyone signs into stuff. They like to sign in with Facebook, or sign into this with Twitter, or sign into, I think you can sign into IHOP now and order online with your Facebook account. Like, Facebook ties into everything. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So but to get to your Facebook account, I can get to that by resetting your email, by going to your email.
Gotcha.
And then I think you have, you can get the Facebook can hold your cards and stuff like that through the app, and you can go to the marketplace now and purchase things. I think Instagram has a marketplace now too. So everything is tying in. All these social media platforms are tying into your bank account, and which ultimately ties back into your email. So definitely that'd be my biggest thing for everybody.
Awesome. Bill, what about you?
I'm going to give you two. One is immediately go sign up for our free cybersecurity awareness program to be educated. And then the second one is exactly what Justin was talking about. He talked about two-factor authentication. I'm going to say, stop using Google email, stop using G Suite, switch over to Office 365 and get email protection, because that's your biggest vulnerability next to getting your computers patched to make sure they have the latest updates. Go to a reputable email provider, get Office 365 and get email protection. Get anti-spam, anti-malware, all these different things to protect your email, because that's where our vulnerabilities are.
Awesome. Oh my golly, so much information. Bill, Justin, you've been amazing today. And I would love for Jay to pop back out so I can thank Jay and our partnership with US Tech as we wrap up this webinar series. Thank you, Jay. You've been awesome behind the scenes, making sure that we're recording and get those recordings, up and shared in a format that you all can watch these replays, come back and check it out as a resource. So thank you. The replays are available at the Charles County Economic Development Department's website, meetcharlescounty.com. The replays for our entire webinar series are all on there. The Chamber, again, as we've been announcing, has got a free Chamber membership for any Charles County businesses. You can visit their website to learn the details there, charlescountychamber.org. And I just honestly want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the partners that have given me the ability to come here and moderate these sessions every week. Thank Justin, thank you, thank Bill, thank Jay at US Tech. Thank you all for being here, but more importantly for the attendees that are here live and watching the replays. We'll be sending out a wrap-up survey. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you participated in one of these webinars or all of them. If you have any additional webinar ideas or suggestions, we would welcome them. So with that, I will say goodbye and thank you, and I hope everybody has a fabulous day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.